Namaste, DDs. My name is Sherry Sutton, and I am your business growth guide. Super excited today to talk about in-person events. And what I mean by in-person events, and I'll show you here in a second, is like markets, maybe farmers markets, trade shows, anywhere where you go and you get like some sort of a booth. Usually it's like a 10 by 10 space. I work with the Little Elm, Texas Chamber of Commerce, and for people at a certain level in their membership, they actually get like a 10 by 10 spot at their concert series and a lot of the town events. So this presentation is designed to help you maximize what you're doing there. So without further ado, let me share my screen. Been having a little technical difficulty, so I apologize if I'm kind of looking at multiple screens while I'm doing this. But I think we've gotten it all worked out. Maybe I'll put myself over here. Okay, so how to make the most out of your in-person markets and events. So first off, a little bit about me, because why the heck should you listen to me? So I have 25 years of experience in marketing, product marketing, marketing communications, and I've done trade shows really from day one. So I've got at least 20 years of experience in doing trade shows in all different markets, from $200 to $250,000 trade shows. So I've really honed in this expertise. I know what works, I know what doesn't, both in my own business as well as in corporate America. So super excited to share this with you because this is like one of my little zones of genius, but I don't get to talk about it very much. So, all right. Okay. First off, again, what we mean by in-person events, it's these types of markets, right? This is at the Star in Frisco. We call it the Star. It's the headquarters for the Dallas Cowboys. And they had a market there that was hosted by this incredible organization called Boho Market. They have different markets all over different areas of the Dallas-Fort Worth area every weekend. It's one of my favorite markets to go to. And this one just happened to be at the Star. So it's this kind of idea of, lots of different little booths, right? Everybody gets a little, they're generally a 10 by 10, 10 feet by 10 feet space. You get a little cover because, hey, we're in Texas and it's hot. So give you kind of a sense of what we're talking about. All right, so first question is, are in-person events right for you? If you're watching this training, you probably know that they are, but maybe you're wondering if they are. There's a couple things to consider. The first thing is, do you have a physical product that people can walk away with? People go to these types of markets because they want to buy something, right? They don't want to be sold on a service that they might buy later, or on a, let's say a piece of clothing that they have to order and get later. And so they want to be able to walk away with a product at that moment. So if you have something where that's the case, these shows are perfect for you. However, those things have to be small, right? So maybe cars might work in this type of a thing, but we're talking about things that are like, sunglasses, jewelry, t-shirts, art. I have an incredible friend who, she might be watching this right now, Deborah. She makes these amazing knit hats. She does these kind of events all the time. Perfect business model for her. All right. When you're thinking about your event, you want to think about 3 different things. And I'm going to go into each of these turn by turn. So the first is your before your event planning and promotion. The second thing is really having merchandising excellence at the event. And then the third is follow-up. So I'm actually going to go through, especially for the merchandising portion, I'm going to go through and I'm actually going to show you exactly the booths that work and the booths that didn't at this Boho Market that I went to. All right. But before you even do the event, there's a couple things you need to think about. The first one is location, location, location. many times when you sign up for one of these events, again, whether it's an indoor trade show or an outdoor, kind of market, you get to choose your location. And that's really cool, but you have to be very, very smart about how you do it. So I wanted to walk you through how I thought about this as an event planner. And picking booths for, very large shows or, very small shows for my own business. So here is a typical trade show map or market map, right? And each of these squares represents different spaces, right? So these smaller squares are generally a 10 foot by 10 foot space. And these larger squares are generally 10 feet on this side and 20 feet on this side. So how do you know which of these to pick? Often they will ask you for a choice of 3 and, in order of what the ones that you want. So you want to make sure that you are very strategic in what you ask for. So here's a few things to think about that you might not think about otherwise. You want to be close to either the entrance, that's your first choice, or the bathrooms, because those are the 2 places that people go. If you've ever gone to a really big trade show floor, right? You walk in the door and there's usually an aisle right in front of you with booths, and then there's aisles off to each side, right? What you want to make sure you do is you're as close as possible to that entrance. Or, if you can't get, because those spots are going to go fast, right? And they're often, sometimes depending on the show, they can actually be more expensive. So if you can't get there, the idea is that people are going to go straight ahead when they walk in the doors, and then they're going to start sort of snaking through the trade show booth, right? Or the trade show floor or the market. What happens though is people tend to get tired, they get a little overwhelmed by it, but generally people need to go to the bathroom at some point when they're there. And so if you cannot get near the front, I always recommend trying to get close to a bathroom, because your chances of having high traffic are higher in front of the bathroom or in front of the food than they will be, or as much as there will be at the beginning entrance. So that's for the first thing to think about. The second thing is you want to stay as close as you can to the center aisle. So if you see on this show, there is this center area, right? These are the doors. You can see these little graphics, right? So I would have asked the organizer here, they may not open all of these doors. Sometimes they'll only open maybe these doors or this door or these doors. I would ask which doors are going to be open. But you want to make sure that you are straight ahead. So you want to be here, here, or here, right? And this trade show floor is small, but if you've got a market where it gets really deep after that, right, then you really want to think about where's the traffic flow coming in and how do I make sure that I'm right there and that I'm straight ahead as people walk in. The ends are always going to be the best because you generally will get 2 marketable sides. And what I mean by that, so if you look at like 121, this booth right here, now you've got marketable space here and here, right? Versus if you're in this space, which is 120, you've only got 1 area of marketable space because people are walking by. They're only going to see this 10 feet of your booth. Where if you're going to 121, now there's a chance where they're going to be able to walk by 2 spots, right? Even better, if you can afford an island, these are called islands because they're covered. They should be called peninsulas, really, but they're covered on, well, they are, I think they actually are called peninsulas. I think I may have said it wrong here. Anybody who's in trade show management, you can keep me honest on this. I think if all these booths were together, it would be called an island, but this is called a peninsula. Either way, you want to have multiple sides that are marketable, right? So this 117, this is the best booth in the house because you've got 3 areas that are marketable to people, right? 115 is great. It's bigger, but it's still only 2 sides. Same with 121. If you can't afford a big space and you need a small space, this one or this one are going to be the 2 best in the house. And I think I kind of went through that in the next slide. Yeah. So the best 10 foot by 10 foot booths in this scenario are these 2 right here, close to the traffic flow, and they give you both 2 sides to market to. Now, if you couldn't get one of these, and let's say 132 was available, I actually wouldn't choose 132, even though it gives you two marketable sides. I would still choose something on one of these, right? Or let's assume 118 is empty, because you want to be on that main thoroughfare. The chances of somebody coming in, hitting a hard right and moving up are low. Or they come in, they go up, they might snake around, right? You just don't want to be too far from the door. So your best booths for 10 by 10s are these two right here. The worst booths are going to be these in the back corners, right? 129 and 109. Even though they have two sides, that's not a great placement. However, if the bathroom or the cafeteria were here outside 109, then I would say absolutely pick 109, because you've got both sides and you've got a traffic generator, right? A place where traffic is going to go by. In this case, the best 10 by 20 booth is going to be this 117, right as everybody walks in the door. It's the biggest thing. I would absolutely choose that. The second, like the worst, is this 116. It's still pretty good, right? Because people are still going to probably go down this main aisle or this main aisle. It's still pretty good, but of the 10 by 10s, that would probably be, the worst. All right, so now that you've picked your place, you want to make sure that you do a lot of event before the promotion. So I generally recommend that you start promoting at least 2 weeks in advance. Creating a Facebook event is a great way to do promotion for this. It'll be public, so anybody can see it if they're looking for events for the weekends. Make sure that you invite your friends. Before you post it, there's a place there where you can say invite friends, or you can do it afterwards too, where you can say invite friends. I would actually invite them from the event and not, maybe even direct mail it to them. I'd share that event in all of your Facebook groups that you hang out in. Also, make sure you post about the event on your personal and your business Facebook pages, because the business Facebook pages, and this is a whole other training, but business Facebook pages just aren't getting seen very much these days. So I really recommend that anything you do, you be putting it on your personal Facebook page as well, without getting too spammy, right? So that, again, another training for another day. But you can do some fun things here, right? Especially on your personal Facebook. You can do things like, make a reel of you packing up the car, or, day in the life of an entrepreneur, and you're carrying all your stuff, right? There's lots of fun things that you can do and post and talk about the event without kind of coming off as too spammy. All right, let's talk about at the event. You really want to merchandise yourself very effectively. So I'm going to walk you through some of the things to do. I'm going to show you some examples from the Boho Market of people who did this really, really well. So the first thing I recommend is make sure you have some sort of signage on the outside of the booth. I'm going to show you some examples here in a minute, but my number one tip is to make sure that there's a QR code on there, and make sure the QR code's kind of big, right? That people can see it, because someone might not be ready to buy from you, or the booth might be really full, but they want to learn more about you. Having a QR code kind of on the outside of the booth is going to be really, really important, again, to sort of get people who might not be able to visit you at that moment, but want to come back and learn more about you later. So this is a great example of somebody who has been very well branded. And I think I might have this in, hold on. Here's another example. I'm going to come back to that booth in just a second. Here's another example of having signage with your QR codes. Okay. Now, the second tip is don't forget the outside of your booth, right? People tend to, and I saw this a lot at the Boho Market, where the inside's really nicely decorated, but until you're in underneath your tent, your tarp, whatever you want to call it, you don't really see anything, right? It's not very festive. It's not really very well branded. And so I want to go back to that slide we were looking at a minute ago. These guys did an incredible job of showing off their branding in lots of different places. So a couple good things. And it's amazing. Not many people did this at the Boho Market. These little signs that you can put on the front of these little tarps they give you, the tents they give you, are very inexpensive, but really do a lot to make you pop. If you look at this one that's next door, right, they put their sign all the way in the back, but if somebody's standing in front of it, you might not see it, right? So they did a really good job of that. So they've got something in the back, right, where you can learn a little bit more about them, but they have this sign, boom, right up in front. They also have these very colorful tablecloths, which do a lot to draw the eye in. So I'm going to give you a little video tour of this booth. They're doing a lot of things right here. We're going to talk about more of those things later, but I love they're really nicely branded, very colorful. All their products are out in the front. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But what I wanted you to learn from this is really the idea that this sign is right there in the front. I can tell you, I saw this on maybe 3 booths out of, maybe there were 100 that were there. So something to really think about. Makes a really big impact. The other thing I recommend is just make sure that you're being very festive. This was one of my favorite booths for a couple reasons. One is, so you walk up, so this is their tent. They did a really good job of taking their space outside of the space, right? They've got a little table here. They've got something here. Now, some markets won't allow you to do that and you'll get in trouble, but it seems like the Boho Market was kind of cool with it. The other cool thing is that as you walk up, whether you're coming up on this side or this side, they've got a branded sign here, talks a little bit about what their differentiator is, right? This, everything under $40. They have this QR code, nice and big, perfect. The other cool thing that they did with this booth space is they made it really festive. I can tell you, I loved the last booth I showed you because it had that sign on the top, right up in here. And you can see nobody else has those signs. But these guys went an extra step and did this whole big balloon thing. It was the most eye-catching, beautiful, oh my gosh, what's happening over their booth in the entire market. And this little balloon thing, it's not very expensive to do that. I know helium's kind of expensive right now, but you probably don't even need to use helium, right, to have something like this. But it made such a huge visual impact. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to take you on a walk around their booth. Again, love this QR code. They did a really good job of utilizing the space and bringing space outside of the booth, right? So extending the shopping space outside, which I really, really liked. They also, on this side, on the table, I think you're going to see it here in just a second, they had this little thing about, find us on Instagram, right? There you go, where you could find them on Instagram. Again, a really nice way of driving people to learn more about you later. This incredibly festive balloon thing that they have going on. When you go inside, they did a really nice job of merchandising by color, which I thought was really neat. They have a mirror, which for anybody selling clothes is amazing. They had this great rug with their name on it. So smart way to make sure you're branded. So no matter where you looked inside this booth, you were branded no matter what, right? We're going to talk more about that here in a minute, but they did such an incredible job in their booth. The one thing that I don't love about it, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, is that you had to go inside to get to all of the clothes. I like having all of the merchandise be around the outside of the booth space. So we'll talk about that again a little bit more in another session, but that was one of my favorite booths. Again, make sure that you are, being branded and festive all the way through. Okay. My next tip is put product around the edges. I was just sort of alluding to that a minute ago. Don't make them go inside. So what happens is there's especially when you've got a tent overhead, it's darker in there, right? And so it's a little intimidating for people to have to walk underneath to see your products. So you want to extend as much as you're allowed outside the booth, show people what you do to invite them in, or even better, if you can have an island or one of those peninsula booths where you can put everything around the outside, that's even better. And so I'm going to show you a couple examples of what that looks like. So this was a great jewelry company, they have a peninsula booth. So they have all three sides, and they did a really nice job of merchandising everything. So you had three sides of merchandise. Now, the one thing that they didn't do well is they don't have any signage, right? They don't have any signage, kind of dull, things here. They had a real opportunity to make this colorful, to do some decor out here. I would have gotten 3 different signs with my name on the outside, but they do a really good job of merchandising using the edges. So I'm going to kind of show you what that looks like. Very easy to get around. It's all set up very cleanly. It's really nicely done. They have an incredible utilization of their space. One of the cool things about this, actually, this can be considered an island because you can use all 4 sides. The backside's a little small, so they were real smart in that they made that their like e-commerce area where they take credit cards and so forth. So that's on this back end here. But this booth does a really good job of, again, merchandising on the outside of their booth. The next thing I want to talk about is branding. Everything. Always be branded, right? I brand myself to the extent where I wear my brand colors every single day, right? Green is a little bit of a secondary color for me, but everything's pink, right? Because those are my main colors. And so whenever I go somewhere, I dress in all of my, in my branding. And you want to do that here especially. So you want to do that in a couple different ways. You want to brand your clothes, right? So wear something with your logo on it or a piece of your art or something like that. You want to make sure you brand your tablecloths. I'm going to show you an example of somebody who did all of this so well later on. Again, we talked about that signage on the top of the booth, inside the booth, on the sidewalks. You can never have too much signage or get your name out there too much. Or you can also brand your bags. And I wanted to show you, this is one of my favorites. You're going to see more of their booth later, but this is one of my favorite friends, Lone Star Roots. And what they did that I thought was really cool is they actually branded their bags. So, and you can do this very inexpensively, right? They just bought plain white bags. You can buy these on Amazon and they just put a sticker on the front, right? A nice inexpensive way, but another way of getting your brand name out there. And again, I'm going to show you their entire booth a little later on in this presentation. So make sure you're branding everything. You're going to want to almost overdo it because hopefully you're going to be at other events, right? You want people to come back and you want to be easily found. Okay, the next thing you want to do at the event, although I know you're busy and you're setting up and you got people coming in, but you really want to make sure that you're going live and you're posting while you're there. So this again is my friend Carrie over at Lone Star Roots. They do a really good job of this. So this was a live that they did on their social media platforms. Hey, we're here. It's a beautiful day to shop small and local. We're here at the Boho Market at the Star until 4 o'clock, right? Perfect. They did a little flyby of their booth. Usually you're set up, you've got a little time in between waves of people. It's a great time to go live, and you can go live multiple times. Why not? This is another example of doing the same thing in stories. And especially if you have friends come by, right? Take pictures of them, post it, right? Have stories, put it in your stories, tag them. Carrie and I, when I went to visit her, I actually wore this t-shirt that's here. And so we took pictures in the booth of me wearing her shirt. We both posted it on our social media. Again, it's a way to extend your reach by tagging other people in social media. The other thing I wanted to show you that I just actually noticed, this isn't the cover that you can see. They had a different cover. I think at this market in particular, you had to use their tent. But you can see this. I have to imagine this is their tent that they own. Nicely branded, right? Great messaging here. It looks like it's on the other side. Big logo on the top. 100% worth the investment of branding your tent like this. Okay, the next thing. Have business cards or postcards or a brochure that they can take with them. Again, it's the same idea with the QR code, outside your booth. It's just in case you're busy, or let's say somebody like already spent all their money, which happens at these markets, right? Or they don't want to spend any more money. Sometimes it's good to have a brochure that they can take with them, that they can utilize. They can just learn about you later, right? Make sure there's a QR code on it, but definitely have some sort of a business card or brochure that they can take with them. Here's the other big thing, which it's interesting. A lot of people just don't think about this, but inviting people in, you really want to think about their experience, not from inside the booth, but from outside the booth. So when you're ready, walk up to your booth, right? Is it inviting? And are you standing on the outside? So one of the things that we did in corporate America was we always had people standing on the outside of the booth, inviting people in. Hey, how you doing? Come check out our stuff, handing out a brochure, right? Inviting them to shop online later, but standing out in front and inviting people in is a key way to make sure people feel welcome. What happens often is people will put, though I like merchandising on the outside of the booth, that's a great idea, but you want to often stand out in front of it after you do that. Because if you're just standing behind, there's not that personal sale, right? People, again, they have to walk underneath what could potentially be a dark space. You're kind of lingering back there. They can't really see you. They can't really see your face. And yes, it's about the product, but inviting them in, I promise you, in my years of experience, makes a huge difference. One of the things that I did when I was doing bridal shows, when I had my wedding photography business, most of the vendors, they had a table, right? They put up their pictures or, their TV, monitor with their videos running or whatever. And they would stand behind the booth, right? And let their work speak for itself, which is great. I would stand in front of the booth and invite people, hey, come on over now, look at my stuff, right? You will get a significant more traffic than you would have otherwise. Hold on for just a moment. I'm getting a little error. LinkedIn doesn't like me today, apparently. Oh, well, that's all right. Okay, so am I still live in all the other places? I am. Awesome. All right, I'm going to show you an example of what this looks like. This woman did a really good job. First off, I want to kind of share a couple things she did well. She got some signage. Now, she doesn't have signage on the top here, which I always recommend, but she did do a nice job of signage on the outside. The good thing about these, they call these little like pop-up banners. The great thing about these is you can take them with you very easily. It doesn't require you to kind of get on a ladder to put something up on top. I would still recommend having something up above as well as this standing banner, but it's great. It's got their Facebook pages. It's got a QR code, which is perfect, right? Back to that idea of giving them an opportunity to learn later. She does a good job of merchandising things in front. Does have a table, but she's not standing behind it, waiting for you to come in. She's coming inside and she's greeting you. And let me show you what that looks like. So here she is. She and I are talking. I'm like, I'm a marketing mentor. I love what you're doing. So again, good merchandising on the sides, which is good. She's standing in front. She's introducing you, she's welcoming you in. She's got some good color. Again, another good sign there in the back. One of the other smart things about this, and I'm not going to show you the video of it, but if you go behind this table, she still has another 5 feet or so of her space available. So she's not utilizing half the space, but in this case, it's okay, right? The way that she has it organized is good. She uses that back side as a storage area. So you're not looking at sort of messy storage-y stuff, right? Super, super smart. All right. The next thing is to really think about keeping it professional and customer centered. Back to what we were just saying a minute ago about keeping your area clean, making sure that everything's tucked away, right? One of my big pet peeves is eating inside of your booth, right? Anybody who worked with me in corporate America at a trade show knows that I go crazy with this. I always made sure that my booths either had a place where you could go hide and eat, or you had to leave the booth, right? No one wants to see you with, food in your teeth. If you need to eat, it's cool. Try to get somebody to cover you. If you can't, you can't, right? It's okay, but nothing too messy. Just try to keep it super, super professional, clean, customer-centered, right? You want people to find an inviting environment in your booth. You don't want to be sitting there in a chair behind your table, right? Like this, right? No one's going to want to go into a booth where that's happening. So standing in front, saying hello, greeting people, being really being professional, being, just inviting people in, not, eating or having weird stuff or like chatting with your friends or you could chat with your friends sometimes, but you get the idea. Okay. So I'm going to now share with you a couple cautionary tales, and then I'm going to share with you my favorite booths from this event and talk to you a little bit about what they did really, really well. Okay. So my cautionary tales. Here's the first one. I'm going to show you the video and then we'll talk through it. All right. Actually, we'll just talk through it while it's going. So this booth, they do have one little piece of signage outside, which is great, but no merchandising on the outside. The only place that you see their branding is way back here. And if you notice, as people are standing inside of the booth, you can't see that because it's hidden behind their heads. So often your booth will look really great when you are standing, when no one's in it. You have to look at your space as when people are in it. Does it flow? Does it make sense? Can you still see the signage? That's one of the reasons why the signage here is so important, because it's above everyone's head. You can see here, I can't really see what's going on in here, right? In order to learn about this product, I need to go all the way into the booth, and that can be a little bit scary, right? So sharing a little bit more. They did a nice job of merchandising on the side, which is good. They did some balloons. Do you like that dirty look I got from that lady? I thought that was so funny. She's like, what are you doing? All right. So that's my first cautionary tale. My next one, sorry, that's playing again. Okay, here's another one. Again, not a lot. And actually, this one has no signage on the outside, right? They've got a little bit. They're showing off their product here and here, which is nice. Same thing. They only have a sign back here hidden by people's heads when they're in it. The other thing is their tables are really big, which I get for their product. However, when this booth gets full, you can't see what they do. You can't get in. You can't see what's happening. I would have turned those tables and all the merchandise in the other directions. So now you have more walkable space for people to be engaged on either side. Even better, I would have taken half that table and pointed it this direction, right? Half the merchandise pointed in that direction, half the merchandise pointed in this direction, because now I have four sides. I have people who can see my product here, well, 5, here, and then on the other side here, right? So a way of utilizing this same space, and I would have made sure that there was some signage up front, right out here that, kind of told you what they did. All right. Here's my best of show, my Sherry's version of best of show, though no puppies in this. I'm sorry. All right. Okay, here's the first one. I loved this booth. Now, I know that they don't do some of the things I talked about with signage on the outside, one place that they could have done better, but they do a really nice job. They use this side as merchandising space. They use QR codes, which are really great. They've also done a good job. They merchandise a little bit in the front. And then, yeah, if you're interested, you're going to go back here to the back. but they also did a really nice job of extending their space outside of their booth. They've got one of these corner areas. And so putting those pieces out there, super smart. The other thing that I really liked about this booth, they've got a nice rug. It feels kind of homey, right? And then they also did this table. Let me see. Oh, wanted to show you this first. They, again, another place where they have their QR codes. They've got a business card that you can take away. They just did a really nice job of like the little touches, like with this plant. They have this whole table that she's standing at, which was, let me see if I can show you a better copy. Yeah, so you can see it back here. They did this cute little table. It really felt like a shop that was merchandise, like an actual shop, which a lot of folks don't. They just kind of put things in lines. And so I thought that this was a really nice booth for that reason. All right, let me show you my next one. My second best of show. This again is our friend Carrie over at Lone Star Roots. Here is her space. She does a really good job. First, a sign outside. She does a great job branded tablecloths. You can see here, she does a really nice job of extending her booth out here. She's got merchandise on every single wall possible, right? No one else at the show was merchandising on the outside in that same kind of a way with this lattice. So smart. Yes, you have to go inside to buy, which I think is fine. But again, look at all this merchandising on the outside, right? They used every single surface to be super branded. Great job. Again, I loved the logoed tablecloths as well. You can buy those tablecloths. They're not super expensive. If you're doing these shows often, I highly recommend them. Okay. This is my best of show. I loved these guys. They did everything right. Everything. So they had a peninsula. So they had this end cap. It was right as you walk in. So the parking lot where a lot of people park is over here. Now, some people came in this way, but if they were coming in this way or this way, right? I hope you can see my pointer. No matter which way, those are the two highest traffic areas. They were right there. So I'm going to walk you through the booth in a second, but I want to show you first, big branding high up. So even if someone's standing in front of it, you can still see it. Branded tablecloths. And I'm like obsessed with the way they merchandise. So they did a really good job of merchandising. Again, you can see they sell golf shirts, right? They've got their website on everything, super smart. QR code would have been great too. They actually organize all of their product by like type. So they do share their customer avatars with you, right? You know, meet sweats dad, right? DIY dad, holy guacamole, these funny pictures. You're this guy. Here's the perfect shirt for you. They also did something really interesting, which is they only put one of the shirts out. And you see this also in Lone Star Roots, where they put only one out. And then if you ask for it, there's more in the back. But it keeps the area really nice and neat, really nice and clean versus having like stacks of shirts or something. All right. So hold on. Let me start this again. All right. So again, love these signage. Every sign has their name on it. This has their name on it, a funny little sign. Again, extending themselves outside of the booth. Same thing here. Really nice merchandising with these mannequins. Again, great branded tablecloths, right? They merchandise by putting these mannequins on top of their tables throughout, which gives you more 3D space, which is fantastic. And then when you go inside, they've got these great like little like brand message pop-ups, which I love. Like, you know, these are their tagline. They're elevated, right? High performance, comfortable. And I love that they had it like their ideal client was actually saying this, right? And I love them. It's just Such good marketing. And then they've got another one here on the other side. Just so well marketed, yeah, like these are so funny. So outdated and updated. And I love the way that they did this. Perfect execution of a booth. Okay, so I hope you learned a ton about how to merchandise your booth at these shows. I want to talk a little bit about after the event. So, if you're using whatever platform you're using to do the sales at the event, you should be able to collect their emails, maybe phone numbers, right? I know Shopify is really easy from this perspective, but make sure you send them a thank you email, right? Hey, or a text, depending on whichever you have, or maybe even both, right? Send them a thank you. So great to see you at Boho Market yesterday. We'd love to see you at some upcoming events. Here's where we're going to be next. Or head over to our website, buy other stuff, right? Now you've got them on your mailing list and you can continue to work with them and sell to them through your mailing list. But absolutely send that. I can tell you of the companies that I bought with, I didn't get any like, hey, thanks for stopping by yesterday. It's just such a nice little personal touch. Again, that a lot of people don't do this in that. So somebody wrote I'm sorry, it was a little while ago. I've been yammering and I haven't looked at any of the comments. I just met with someone who's considering this. She's a family portrait photographer offering mini sessions. So this model does work really nicely for photographers. I would actually invite them into the booth or do it right on the outside where you can actually take pictures of people right there, right? I then would upload them on Facebook, have them come to your Facebook page where they can download it, right? It's a way to drive them to your Facebook page, learn more about your business, and they can download. So if you want, to give me a holler, happy to talk about that a little bit more. I'm a photographer, and so I've did this a lot as well, especially when I was doing my wedding photography business. So yeah, good thought. Good thought. So I hope that this was super helpful for you with your upcoming in-person events. If you want to talk about this more, right? Great example of the photographer. How would I do that? What would the space look like? How can I make my offer right? Like what would my signage be? How would I take pictures and then give them to people? We can talk through all of that in a 90-minute session. And I do offer on a very kind of exclusive basis, these one-time 90-minute sessions where we can really spend time hashing out a very specific element of your business, right? It could be, what would my trade show presence look like, right? So we'll spend some time doing laser focused strategic input on really your most pressing business decisions, whether it's, should I do these kind of events or am doing these events? How do I make my presence better? Or, should I move into e-commerce? There's all sorts of things that we can talk about in these 90-minute sessions. And I'm offering them at 50% off for the month of May and starting now. So if you're interested in doing this, send me a direct message, or you can email me at sherry@didi.marketing, and I will send you the link to book these and the code so you get 50% off. Again, great way for you to just kind of sit down with an expert, hash out something that's going on. Maybe you're not ready to have ongoing coaching on a monthly or weekly basis. It's a great way to get some really targeted feedback from a been there, done that expert like yours truly. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you found this super, super valuable. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm on all the social channels at DD Marketing Collective. You can also, again, my email is sherry@dd.marketing, or you can find me on all the places on social. I'm on all of those all the time, checking my DMs, and I hope that you have a great day. Send me some feedback. Let me know how this feedback went for you, how you changed your strategy at shows, and what your successes looked like. Have a great day.